Going to start. What is up, everybody? Bob Beckett here. Super excited to have you on our FX Freedom Live coaching call tonight with Christian Suprean and me, myself, Bob Beckett. And tonight is April 11th, 2023. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing week. We are. We're absolutely killing it this week in trading. It's just freaking, everything just seems to be working. Isn't it, Christian? Is everything just working on your end?
Yes. Everything's just, yes. Everything that I'm looking at, the two things that I really traded this week were beautiful. And really, I guess you did the same thing because it ended up being that I just so happened traded the same thing that you called, but didn't realize it until after we've seen each other's stuff because I was just trading. And it was basically what I was showing people on my training. And then you were calling it in other groups and just,
yeah,
the way we trade.
Very good, man. Very good. I'm just going to jump in this tonight. Now, I want you guys to ask as many questions as humanly possible. And before I continue, let me know where you're coming from. You know, one's from Southern Florida. Gregory, what's up, man?
We
Jeffrey,
love
what's
questions.
up? Eric, what's up? Anthony, what's up? Z, what's up? Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. All right. So let me see here. Oh, I'm going to turn off this indicator and put on this indicator. That would be helpful. And there we go. We do a replay mode. And then I want to show you what's up. So I have some stuff on my screen and we're just going to go with it. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen. Here we go. So this week, what I decided to do was go over gold and US 30 from Monday. And if you have questions or you want me to back test or do anything like that over something else, we can go into that or just get your questions together. Okay. So let me actually put the chat box over here so I don't miss a thing. And I want to pull this a little bit closer because I know some people's screens are closer. So you guys could see that. All right. Okay. And then we're just going to begin. Okay. So basically what I'm looking at here is we love 4-hour order blocks. Pretty much our whole strategies, like all of our strategies are built out of the 4-hour order blocks. And then from there going down and then entering on the 1 minute, like pretty much every single one of our strategies is that way. Right. So right here, what we have here, if I go to the 4-hour on gold, you can see that this left this area, once I push play, you can see it just shot up from this area, making this an amazing area that when it pulls back to, I'd be very interested in. Why? Because if you look here, let me just turn off pip stacking for a second. If you look here, look at this massive candle. Like there's so much imbalance in the market here. There's no way on earth they were able to like get out of their sell orders or anything like that before in time. So they need to bring it back down to mitigate this area. Now, we don't do anything guessing, right? So that's one thing a question we get all the time is if we know it's going to go back down to this order block, maybe I should just get in now. That's not how it works, right? We need to see it bounce. We need to see it reject out of the order block, right? And 4-hour order blocks are super powerful because we're trading out the 1 minute. So even if you just sucked and only got from here to here, that's like a 1 to 10 on a 1 minute, right? On a 1 minute entry. So what the heck? There's the chat. I'm gonna put it right there so I don't miss anything. So let me know if you're following along. Put a 1 in the box. I just want to make sure who's all active in here, who's not, and we'll just keep going. So cool. 1. So number 1. The 4-hour order block is super, super important. It could be 4-hour, it could be the 8-hour, it could be the daily, it could be the weekly, depending on how you trade, but always go with the higher order block as your guide, right? Essentially. Okay, with that said, so here we go. This was on Wednesday of last week, the 5th. I wasn't even looking at gold until that happened. Boom. Right. So as soon as that touched in this area, I'm dropping down to the 1 minute. On the 1 minute, now this is where I would turn on. See, right here is the important part. So this is what I need you guys to understand. Look at the rejection right out the gate, just shoots up. I'm going to turn on pip stacking. And ultimately we need to take out some of these blocks, right? So that's what I'm looking for right there. So it took out basically this little high right here. And then now it's going sideways. So what am I looking for now is I'm looking for this liquidity right here to be taken out. This is like pretty much the pattern that I'm always looking at is I'm looking for liquidity to be built. Okay. Then I'm looking for one side to be taken out. So all the people selling is going to be looking to sell. But really what I'm looking at here is they're forcing price. They're taking people's stops out before heading into the main direction. Why do we know that? Because we just literally bounced off the 4-hour order block. So my target is always going to be, if I'm going to hold like intraday to even just a few hours sometimes, it's going to be the next order block, right? Or the next 4-hour order block. Those will be my favorite areas to target. Do I always hold it that whole time? Absolutely not. So here's exactly what happened. If you could see this pattern right here, you might want to take a picture with your phone because you'll start seeing this everywhere if you could start identifying it. Look as liquidity is being built up right here. And then all of a sudden what happens? It takes out that liquidity, right? So there's nothing down here other than this stuff down here, but this is pretty much all mitigated. Why? Let me zoom in there. Just go candle by candle. So right here, this was like this little tiny bodied doji, right? This came down and tapped that. This wick tapped out anything here, right? There was one little area right in here that was unmitigated, but I'm more concerned with everything up here that needs to be taken out. So you're seeing all this liquidity, all these stops up here that they need to take out, because if they can't just bring it down forever, right? Eventually they need to like profit from all the positions that they took at a cheap price down here, right? So this is where they'll force people to sell or buy at a higher price, right? So they could force it down, then they take out all their stops up here, forcing all these people to buy up their share, right? So here's that pattern on a small scale right here. And here's my entry right in there. And then we're off. It's kind of played around a little bit, and ultimately it could come down here, and I would be aware of that, but with good risk management, it doesn't even matter. So now what are we focusing on? We're paying attention to breaks of structure, right? So this is a break of structure here, and that's a great sign. So at that point, you could put it to break even. You could just put it a little bit into break even if you want to, and just have a risk-free trade. Since I use 10 pip stops or 10-point stops, whatever you want to call it, on US 30 and gold. I guess this would be 100, or would this be 1,000 ticks? I always get all that stuff mixed up. I use a trade manager. I've never used a trade manager. So this would be 1,000 ticks
for 10 pips.
Well, it all be 100 points, right?
It all depends on gold. Gold's weird.
Yeah. So you could have got taken out there, and you could have just basically re-entered on this break if you weren't out, or if you did a thing right there. Let's just actually do that right now. So long it. I wanted proof that it was going back up, and I use another, leave it there roughly. We'll play off that one, pretending that we already did break. Once that area breaks, we'll do another break even. Okay, so now we're back at break even. We'll just let it go. Okay, so now what are we looking for? Let me clear off some of this stuff. It's taking liquidity out. So it took this one out right here, which was a major high, lower high, right? So now we're creating higher highs, essentially. This was like the first major change of character, essentially, right here. Make sure everybody's following along. Okay, if you're following along, go ahead and put a 2 in the box if you're understanding why I entered and how I'm staying in the trade. I just want to make sure. Okay, awesome. And just keep your questions ready. Okay, so next area, like the first area I'd be interested in would be 50% of this block right here. Okay, so that would be a 1 to 4.45. I'm not saying I'm getting out there, but what I'm looking for, again, what am I looking at? Where's liquidity being built up? Love trend lines for the opposite reason that most people love them. Everybody else, they're like, oh, I want to buy, I want to sell here, I want to sell here. And you would have been right for a little bit, right? But notice how they're just short moves, right? You gotta let it build up. And then the first sign of a break back up, you see this where it mitigated the 50% of this block. As soon as it breaks that high and then retests it, that's an amazing entry, like right there, essentially. So bam, just shot straight up from there. Hold on, let me fix my screen. And now we're at we hit our 50% mark. Okay. So if you weren't already, if you didn't get out here, which you might just be a scalper, sometimes what I'll do is I'll get out where my original idea was. And then if it breaks through this block, then I'll wait for a pullback and try it again. And I'm still going in the same direction with my original idea. So here's one thing I see people do. They want to be a hero and hold their trade all the time. And meanwhile, it came all the way back down to here. How many times has this happened to you guys where you get in the trade, it goes all the way up here and you're like, you know what? I wanted to hit a 1 to 25 because you wanted that 25 so bad. You let it come all the way back down to a 1 to 3, or even worse yet, you let it blow your account. My gosh, how many times I've freaking done that? It's absolutely insane. Have you ever done that, Christian?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what I've learned to do, this is me personally, is because we focus on zones essentially, which is our order blocks, that's our zone. Like I would have taken profit right here and then waited for proof that it's still going to break lower highs over here, right? So let's just see, it broke, okay? So essentially you can wait for another entry. Where would be a great area to enter? It'd be somewhere in here with a rejection. So I don't know if that's going to hit that or not. Boom. So hit that area. Now we wait for a break, right? And then we take it again. Okay. Or, okay. So it's even going lower. So there's no proof, but look what it's doing. There's no proof yet of it going back up, right? So we need some kind of a structure break, which ultimately I can't stand. I don't use trend lines again, like most people. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for really a break, a close above this wick right here, maybe even right here. And then I would wait for pullback, enter, something like that. So I need to see a close, right? Or unless it builds up something even better. Okay, so good thing we got out when we did, right? Because it came all the way freaking back down. So now it's setting up again. Oh, I like that wick. You see that wick? So it came underneath this block that it mitigated. So it could do something like this, right? Where it breaks above this area. I don't know where we're at yet. All right, it went even lower. All right, so we can essentially go for this one. Sorry for all the mess, guys. Let's see. This. If you got anything to throw in here, Christian.
I know you're giving all the secrets away.
All right, so this I didn't even know this did this, but it's literally doing exactly what I said. Have you ever done this before? Kind of situation. There's not really a reason to get in yet. So there's your first break right there. So let me show you. Right here is essentially your first break. And then this area right here is a really good area to target this whole zone because this is your first break. Plus it broke this structure too. So anywhere in this area is a decent little zone to take if it can give us that. There it is. And it broke right through it. So there's no entry yet. We need some kind of a break back up. All right. Like that. So essentially from that area is, yeah. Okay, there we go. Just shot straight up. So you could have taken the break with a bigger stop. Since there was no pullback, that would have been not much bigger. Not much. It would have been a 12. Let's just stick with our 10 for now. I do 10 every single time. I don't even use highs and lows essentially. And then this would be our, what's our next area? So right here.
I have gone back to that. As long as it's not 20 or 30, but if it's 10 and I can use like a 13 pip stop, to get it below something, I will do that now. I've changed that up. But
so yeah, I grabbed this and then we set up again. And I'm looking for that area. Want to see what happens in that block. Boom. All right. So then I would take profit essentially. So that would have been another 1 to 8. So instead of trying to be a hero and ride this whole thing out, what was the difference here? You hit a 4.45. you actually got even more profit, right? Because this would have only been a total of 10.44. Instead, you got like 12.6 doing it this way, always waiting for the return. And what I've noticed is, I don't know if you'd noticed this, guys, is every time it does a break of structure over on the left, usually it'll tend to have a pullback to some degree. Look up here. Took it out, pull back, right? So you start looking left. And again, don't counter this. I know unless you're very experienced and you're consistent, like sometimes I'll take these things. If I see some kind of real proof, don't say that. Just don't do what I do until you're consistent. That's it. That's all I'm trying to say. So let's wait for this break of structure. But
the thing is, here's the deal. What I'd like to say about that is there's really no need to do that. That's the thing. In one day, you get a plus 12 or whatever this is. What's the point of countering? Just wait until it tells you what it's going to do. It's just how the markets move.
Agree. So we had the break. Now where's the first area? Okay, actually, let me draw that up. This was the block right here. Wait, then, okay, where was it looking at? Looking at this one. Okay. So this area is very interesting. It might even take this out, but from this area is where I would enter if it came down. So this area definitely would be looking for an entry if I see it start rejecting. And that, look, it even built us a nice little, ooh, it came down to this block. See, I'm constantly just looking, what are the candles doing? And it created this little area right here. Break. Constantly looking at that, right? So let's just see. It's not there yet. What is the button I'm supposed to?
You always want a break of structure in your direction.
Yes, always.
You don't ever want to buy when the last structure broke was down. You don't never want to sell when the last break of structure is up. It's just
like here was the first little break. If I see some kind of wick in here, I would take it up from there. Let's just see. It could come lower down to this area. All right, so that's where it's going. It wants to mitigate that bigger block, assuming no actual breaks yet. There's our break. Okay, so now we have a break. And now if it comes down in here and gives us some kind of a rejection, I would enter. And there. Essentially, I would have got in there. Okay, there it is.
Yep.
Let me grab that. Show you. Maybe we'll do the play-by-play again. All right, so this first break right here. Let me actually, okay, this is on. Okay, cool. And we're waiting for it to come in this area of this little red block. You might not be able to see that, actually. Let me make that a little brighter. I always forget. Sometimes it's hard to see on your end. All right, so there's the red block. It gets a little messy, especially on the 1 minute blocks. All right, so let's just see. Right there, it says it's mitigated. So when we have any kind of rejection, that's when we enter. So basically right there, you can enter right there. You could do a one gold buy. There's your 10, and you could just let it go. Right, and then our target, let's look left. Go on the 15 first. Let's just look. Essentially, all right, so this is a cool thing to teach you right here. So this is like it weakened it, okay? So if I draw this box right here, picture this as this range already came up and stabbed this. I hate to put it like that, but this came up here and already stabbed it, right? And made it kind of, so we can already assume that most likely, because we're assuming it's going to come up to this higher time frame order block, that it could very well potentially go through that. So that wouldn't be my target. My target would be looking left and essentially grabbing this block right here. And or you might as well at that point grab the 4-hour block up here. So that would be my target at this rate. There would be my move. And let me go down to the 1 minute so we could manage the trade. Let me turn off pip stacking for a little bit. Okay, I guess you would have broke even right there. What did that end up hitting? That's probably a 1 to 3, no, 1 to 2 right there. So again, you got to wait for another break of structure up. Okay, because honestly, if I was watching this live and I saw this come down and take this out with a solid candle close, I'd be like, and I would probably wait for this right here.
You definitely have to
break.
wait for a structure to break now. I would at least back
This
up.
one.
Yes.
Now we can move it down to this one. There you go. Now in this area, another thing I'll do is I'll set up a pending buy if my stop is big enough to go underneath the low. Sometimes I'll do that just in case I miss it, but I'm constantly waiting to see, okay, what's happening. So I wouldn't have taken it up here. There are times where I'll use a bigger stop and just let it go, and I maybe even use a little higher risk. But essentially I have no reason to enter right now. Okay. I'm looking on these little tiny blocks and seeing how it reacts off those blocks. And then you could potentially enter like that. That would have been a good little entry. See how it wicked? It didn't close solid underneath that little block, that little pullback. I guess you'd call it this one right here. That didn't close below that. And it was just a wick that's saying that basically, and it mitigated this one at the same time, essentially. And then it closed back above that. That'd be a good little entry right there.
And the last structures was up.
And there
That's
you
the
go.
thing. You just got to let the charts tell you when it's ready to get in.
You either broke even or you hold the thing, right? So just showing you how I manage different trades. You're not going to win every freaking trade. That's for dang sure. And then it hit the block, and then the same thing happened, right? So we hit the block. What do you have? A nice big fat wick there. I'd like to see some kind of break of structure. There we go. So it built this nice little area to break back down like that. Let's just see what happens there. And then it came up. And then once I see it start rejecting, let me zoom in on that so you can see it. So it came up to this block right here. That a little brighter. Ooh, that's really bright. Dark. Came up to that block. Once I see it actually push away from it, I'd enter. So not yet. And now. So I'd enter right there. Okay. And then same thing. I'm looking for it to break these structures. They tell me I'm going the right direction. As that happened, I'd be like home free. But truthfully, I'd probably be out of this trade too.
That would be at least a 1 or 3, it looks like, huh?
Right here, I would have got out if I wasn't out because it broke structures back up essentially.
You see it wick 3 times down there like that and then do what we look in the other direction. You got to look and get out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I probably would have grabbed 2 out of that.
At least.
If I wasn't doing my normal 1 to 3, because if I ever get inconsistent, guys, one thing I'll do is I'll literally just say, you know what, I'm going back to my 1 to 3s 100%. I'm not even trying to hold the trade. I'm just doing 1 to 3s, and you'd be shocked at how powerful 1 to 3s are. Tested person, I've tested. Yeah, I've tested 1 to 2s. I've tested 1 to 5s. I've tested all kinds of different things. And for me personally, like whenever I have a slump happening, I'll just set that bad boy up to 1 to 3 and I just let it roll, which is pretty cool. Now this obviously would have worked out. Now there could be another position here. Okay, so one thing that I liked, there's all this liquidity up here, right? You have a break of structure right here. Short that. Let me see what that looks like. Oh, I'd need to pull back. It'd need to pull back for me in order to take that. You could have essentially entered off of this little block right here. But I wouldn't have loved this up here, all that emptiness. Anything could actually happen at that point. But if you're just scalping, it could have worked out decent. What would that end up being? 1 to 2 again. Yeah, just know it's not really a point. You could just hold it. Now, if you're the kind of person that doesn't do break evens at all, this would have been a 1. What would that have been? Actually, total.
1 to 5, 1
to
8, 1 to 9.
So we have some students that have no problem losing at all, and they just let it run, and they'll let the whole trade idea run out. That's totally fine. You can do that. So again, and then we had one more area. Okay, so we had, take these off. We have, this would be the first break structure. It's actually, this would be the first little mini break structure, but it was the higher break structure right here. Broke structure, messing around, comes down to this block, takes it out. Well, I love that wick. I love wicks. Oh my gosh. So it came down to this block, essentially. And now we have a little mini break. So you'll start identifying these tiny little breaks all the time if you pay attention, right? Because you had this like mini pullback here, break right here. Essentially, you have a little pullback and then you enter. Boom. Right? Would have been a nice move. I would have done that all day, actually. And why would I have done that? Let me tell you why, actually. Because I would have assumed it would have kept going, honestly. Hold on. Look at the overall higher time frame is up, right? So pulled back, valid zone. Okay, I want to show you the zone that I drew. So overall, the higher time frame is up. I think it should at least go 50% or higher. So I would actually still be pushing up and only take buys. Like really, that's really what I'd want to do, unless you want to try to counter. Usually what will happen is if you have a block, it'll come and touch and then reject to get sellers in that are trying to go to the bottom block. But those are usually short lived and you could sometimes get like 1 to 10 out of that, but then it'll usually come back up higher. And that's when the move will happen. That's what I've noticed. Okay. But notice how this was a pause. So you had this long wick right here. Then this wasn't longer than this. Do we still have that training in the institutional back office, Christian? Where we went over, remember the momentum?
Yes. Yes.
That was sick.
I've done a couple of trainings in here on momentum. I might, well, I think I did one a while back. I might do a new one in the next couple of days for y'all and put it in.
So to me, this is a valid block because it pushed away so hard from this area. And this was a nice pullback. You see, this went all the way back up to here before dropping. So like to me, this would have been a nice zone to target. And then same thing with this one right here. Have a nice pullback area right here. That's your normal order block though. Although it didn't break any structures, but I should start saying supply and demand areas. I guess to be valid, it needs to break a structure, but to be honest with you, between two blocks, you'll always see some kind of reaction, right? There'll just always be some kind of reaction that you can play off of. All right. Any questions on gold while we're still here? I was going to jump to US 30 real quick and then unless Christian, you want to do one of yours, take a break.
Really, in all reality, I just threw something together real quick on GU, but why don't you go ahead? We already been on here for almost 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you think, or I mean, if you want me to do whatever.
No, you're good. But you're good. All right. So what we had here, this could be tricky to a lot of people because it looked like it was just going sideways, right? So I wanted to show this because we did catch quite a bit of these. And I just want to show you this massive one you could have freaking took and why. Okay. If you wanted to hold ultimately. But you see this block right here. This isn't a block yet until something breaks it. It needs to go higher. So once that happened right here and cleared liquidity, this became an important block to me, right? So once this pulls back into this zone, essentially even right here, honestly, let me show you. Just notice this. This is essentially another mini block in the middle here, right? So once it comes down to this area even, this would be very interesting to me. Okay, so now, even better, it took out liquidity and mitigated this block. So when you see a rejection candle on a 4-hour like this, that's freaking massive, right? So we could ultimately assume, let me just look left here, that it could very well potentially go up to this 4-hour order block that's over here. Now, just so you know, pip stacking indicator actually marked up these, and I just went over it with my rectangle tool so we can keep these here. Let me go to the 1 hour now, or 1 minute, sorry. Now what's happening? I want you to notice, look at the pattern. Remember the pattern. Builds up liquidity, takes it out, goes back into main trend direction, right? What do we have here? Builds up liquidity, takes it out, goes back into main direction, right? Happens over and over again. It's like literally my main thing that I focus on. So what do we have here? Okay, so if I put on pip stacking, you'll notice some things, I think. Yeah. This came down and almost mitigated 50% of this block. And then I'm looking on this green area right here. And once this closes above this green area, I would get in personally. So it didn't close. Oh, there it was. So there was my entry. So it closed above this mitigated block, and it mitigated this block. So really, the only way this could really fail in my mind is if this came down, it had to come down to this block, but I'm willing with my risk management to do that, right? So I would take one go out of here, then wait, and then take one go out of here. If that failed, maybe I'd be done for the day, most likely. So let me just show you what happened here. And target, first target would be like this area right here, right? But I'm seeing it break above these areas. I'm going to turn off pip stacking again. And I have double top here for a reason, so you could see what I love. So if you didn't already take some kind of profit off of this, when it broke this area or this area out of just sheer, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? This is what I like to see. So this is a little block here. I just noticed that. Nice little entry there, assuming that it's going to take out that there. But now what do we have? We have a double top. All right, so let me erase. All right, so what I love about double tops is usually this is what happens. And how do I know it's a double top? Okay, they're pretty much lined up. There's so much liquidity up here. There's stops everywhere, right? So what I'm looking for in this area, I need to see a break of structure to happen back down. And then I'd be targeting an area. What usually has to happen for a double top to be taken out is they'll bring it down to some kind of unmitigated zone, demand area, and then take it back up. So that would be my target. Oh, it even went further. So it finally went down to that zone right here. So if you didn't already enter, this would be a perfect entry. Okay, let me just show you this. Unlock. Let me show you all the different ways you could have gotten out and all that stuff. So let's say you got out right there because it was starting to come down and took out that area. Let me get rid of this. It's getting really dark background. Clean it up a little bit for you. So this would be my main target right now. So we're looking for a nice area that it mitigated. We have this block right here. We could have taken something right from this area to here. We took our original trade from here to here. So that's what I mean. Like the guys that hold trades, I just can't do it. They must have, to me, it's just, I'm way too impatient for that because essentially you could have had that move, could have easily had that move, and then you might have lost one in there, but then you have this block right here to take trades off of. So let's just assume.
Yeah, but if you won them first two moves, you probably should be done for the day.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going for 1 to 3s, I don't think you win 2 1 to 3s in a row. You should, in my opinion, if you're risking enough, you should be, depending on what you're doing or how you're trading, you should be pretty much done for the day. That's a +6 for the day. That's a pretty fantastic day.
You know what's cool about this trade right here? Out of that block, you have a block up here, a 1 minute block. You have this double top. It mitigated this area here. So like in my brain, this is like a 95% chance it would hit. Like it just smash, you know, and that's a freaking 1 to 10 right there. My gosh. And then, but again, our ultimate goal was up here. So look, that's a freaking 1 to 34.44. Let's just say you were nuts. You have your stop at break even. You have your stop at break even. You just freaking let it go. You can. I know people that can do that, man. I can't really do that. I'll be honest with you. It would drive me absolutely insane. Like I would see all this liquidity here and be like, they're gonna rip it. Oh, but like they did it anyway. They did it anyways. Remember the pattern. Build liquidity, whip out, take up. What I think will happen. Whip out. Now you really have no reason to get out other than you could look at different areas. Maybe you could say, hey, I want to get out if it drops below that. If you want to see if it keeps breaking, creating new highs, building liquidity again. Didn't take it out there. Wait. Take it out and then shoot up. Come on. Plan. Oh, I didn't even take it out. So build up all that liquidity that it will take out, which is a beautiful thing. Doesn't mean it will do it right now. Oh, how long was this? Let me just freaking put it on 5 minutes. I go a little faster. There she goes. Look at all that. Wait. I want to stop that. Again, look at all that liquidity. Okay. They're trapping people right now. They're trapping buyers essentially to take them out real quick. And then you'd wait for another break of structure. So let's say you weren't out, you wait for break of structure again, and then you'd take it up to your ultimate goal. All right. So there was one right here. It would have been iffy for me. Yeah, this was low or high, low, high, lower, high, lower, low, and a break structure right there. And then your entry would have been something like that, expecting it to take out at least this liquidity up here. There she goes. So that might have been a short trade for me, honestly, because there's no.
Yeah, but that's still probably a 1 to 3. I don't know. It all depends on what the
It was a friggin' 1 to 6. If I targeted just that liquidity, the highs, that'd be 1 to 5.27. So you'll start seeing this all the time. Now, this excites me because it never came up here to mitigate the zone yet, right? So I'd be looking, okay, where was most of the orders? I have it scribbled out at right here. So they need to take it down to this area to mitigate this zone, right? So if I take this right there, it could very well potentially bounce off that. Okay, I'm starting to see, all right, we have a break right here. So I'd like to see it pull back probably to at least this high before getting in again. So we do gold buy. If we could get it right there, that'd be fantastic. I don't know if it's going to pull back though. Oh, it did. Come on. Come on. All right, let's pretend I was sitting there this time and I got in. Okay, that's essentially, that was a 1 to 16.233 there. And now we're finally up at that block. And if you want to look one more time, we just go in the 1 minute and look. Why would we enter? I probably would have taken a 1 to 1 here, like break even situation, because it touched. Because we had a break of structure, entered right here, stop here, 1-1, break even. This right here did another break of structure. Look.
Like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep. So where's the unmitigated order block? It's right there. Let's see what it does with that block. Okay, it takes it out, but does it just wick it? No. So does it go to this one? Let's just see. Okay, I like that movement. Oh, went higher even takes out that high. So it must be going for this break of structure, pull back, drop. There we are. So we have a break and then enter, essentially. Boom. And that just freaking shot down. My gosh. So again, if you weren't, obviously you're not taking every pip. If you're shooting for just a measly 1 to 10, you could have grabbed that. If you wanted a reason to get out and you weren't out yet, you could have taken it right here and got out, which would have been a measly 1 to 7. Okay. I think we're caught up now. That was a lot. That was a lot more than I expected to do. It's already 8:48.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you just gave away like
too much.
Almost every secret that we have.
Yeah, I
realized you were going to do that on this.
I don't know, bro. Yeah, I don't know.
The value we just gave out for what?
I don't even know.
$14.95 a month. Wow.
We've had 3 people cancel this week, which is actually mind blowing. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. It really honestly doesn't hurt my feelings. Hurt my feelings at all.
They're bad. They're bad.
But it's all good. So much. I haven't even promoted this or anything. It's been really like I've had a lot of company in the house and stuff, and I've just been chilling. With that said, hey, who wants to see something cool? I think, anyways. I've been developing this. Now it's not. This is beta. Okay. This is for the Pulse X. A lot of you guys are in Pulse X, so I'm just going to show it. But you'll see it here first. And I'm actually eventually going to create a bot out of it, I think, because I've been doing the math on this. It automatically will draw the long and short tools, and you could set they're meant to be like the general idea. Okay. But then I started thinking, oh my gosh, this is actually playing out without me even doing anything. Okay. So it's crazy. So if this had proper risk management, I might just freaking build it out. But if you look, like this one lost, I'll have some, that one lost, this one won 1-3. So without me doing anything other than I would have had to take it and listen to what this said. This one would have lost as -1. That'd be +2. This one actually won. So that'd be +5. This one lost would be +4. This one would have been a break even. This one lost would be +3. So if I just play this out a little bit, kind of freaking nuts. I just want to share that with you because I've been working freaking hard on this. I'll just go backwards actually. So this one I'll call no, that one lost. So that'd be +2. This one would have been let's say +2. Yeah, about +1.5. So that'd be +3.5, 2.5. Watch how it just starts working. That's crazy. Is that 2.5? That'd be 5.5. This one I would have called maybe a 2. That'd be 7.5. This one lost. That'd be a 4.5. This one won. So that'd have been 7.5. This is without me doing anything. It automatically draws these things, which is freaking blowing my mind. This would be a 6.5 now. This I'll call 1.5. That's 8. This one lost. That's 7. This one barely lost. That's, where was I at? 6.5 now.
I don't know. I think you then.
So look, this one won. So that's 9.5. This one, I'll call that 2. That's 11.5. This is a loss of 10.5. This one won. That's 7.5. This one won. Okay, came all the way down. That's a 16.5. This one hit, let's call it 1.5. So it's 18, almost done. 21. This one's break even. This one won. That's 24. This one, let's call that a loss. That's 23. That's a break even. That's a break even. This is a, let's call it a, no, it's a loss. I don't know. As you can see, it's pretty crazy. Like, it's just kind of doing it itself. This is our pulse X indicator. I'm not selling you anything, but it basically is trying to emulate the Suprean method. And I'm going to try to do this. Well, I didn't tell you this, Christian. I'm going to try to do this with all our strategies where there's an option to turn on like an idea of where they'd enter. And I wanted to do that for like newer people or just people who aren't understanding it. And I think it's going pretty well.
That'd be awesome.
I think that's it, guys. Yeah. Can I do NAS?
The thing is, I would say NAS just did the same thing. Really.
US 30. Yeah, pretty much US 30 all day they pretty much line up almost.
Yeah, I traded NAS this week. Did the same thing. It was out of 4-hour order block and it went up. So just like US 30 did.
It's very close. But yeah, I trade NASDAQ's my baby. I literally trade NASDAQ all friggin' day. Usually I would show NASDAQ, but it's, look, guys.
All right, like, let's switch it up.
Without even trading it right now, I can show you. Here's the 1 hour block. Look what happened. Boom.
You're not sharing your screen right now.
Oh, there was the biggest secret of them all. All right. So here is a 1 hour block to a 1 hour block, right? If I go to the 4 hour, same situation, right? You have 4 hour block, came all the way down, tapped it. There would have been an entry on the 1 minute, came all the way up to this 4 hour block, tapped it. I would have probably got out, broke highs. I would have waited for it to pull back to the high of this, and there would have been a 1 minute entry right here from here to here. Guess what? Guess where it's at? It's at this block here, essentially, right? Would have taken a sell out of this little 4 hour mini block back down to this block. I wouldn't have assumed that it would have shot all the way down like that. Guess what? It came back up here, retested the bottom of that block, and guess where it's heading? Hopefully that summed it up for you. But if you start watching what happens on the tops of blocks when it rejects it and when it bounces off the top, bounces to the next one, it's crazy how well it moves. You don't have to, You don't have to do this whole, like, I think right here, and no offense to anybody who does support and resistance. Gosh, I go to, oh man, gotta be careful. Anyways, your support resistance, did it work? Yeah, absolutely. It was a zone and it worked. But you don't, like, all I care about is what's actually happening, like right now, period. You're going to have your reaction off of almost every single order block that there is. So you might as well mark up all the order blocks ahead of time instead of just jumping on the chart and just trying to take just any random trade. One of the biggest problems that we see our students face is they literally don't have the order blocks lined up already, and they just jump on in the morning, first thing in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, never said that in my life, and it's 8 a.m. and they're like, oh man, I think I'm gonna be like an amazing trader today. And they still have eye boogers in their eyes, and they're like, didn't even get their coffee yet. They're yelling across the house, hey, give me coffee. I'm doing some serious business here. This is my old life. And basically, you're not even ready to trade yet, let alone had anything marked up. But if you had the 4-hour blocks already marked up from the night before, then you wake up and you're like, oh crap, I can't even trade yet because it didn't even touch one of my blocks. If that's your rule. Maybe,
or if you're in the mentorship, you just jump on with me and we mark up the charts together.
That's true. That's true. Hopefully that helped, guys. But I think that's it. So everybody pretty much stayed in here, which is pretty cool. And I appreciate all of you guys very much. Hopefully that made sense to you, Michael, about NASDAQ. Pretty much did the same exact thing, right? It's just bouncing back and forth between order blocks. I love it when they wick out the top of an order block with a four hour and you can just take it down. Oh, it's so beautiful. It happens every freaking day almost. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for attending FX Freedom Live this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure to invite your friends. We'd love to have more and more people. We're going to start doing some good promotion going here. We've been too busy trading to worry about even marketing or doing anything like that. But we would like to help more people with the mentorship and all those kind of programs. So if you're interested, hit us up. We have one-on-one mentorship spots available. And hopefully you enjoyed all the value we gave you. We tried to make it like 99.9% non-pitchy and the rest value. So hopefully you enjoyed that. But that's it. Anything else, Christian?
That's it. Y'all be blessed. See y'all next week.
Guys, God bless. Take care. Beckett out.